Have a long liquid today.
No, right.
For a wedding.
He's for his son.
Second wedding.
Yes. A friend of mine from Far Rockaway, he moved to here like a friend of mine from Far Rockaway moved here to Widmer, and so he's looking for a show. So he said the first Shabbos was he davened here. I said you came here when Rebbe wasn't here. So he come here when Rebbe was here. It wasn't this Shabbos. It was like 2 Shabbos later, 3 Shabbos later.
Second one.
Two Shabbos. Last week it wasn't here. Last week it wasn't here. Yeah. So that must have been the first time. That's back last night. He's a good guy. I know he likes mostly smaller people type of places, but I think if he was here and he'd hear every meet Chavra, it's different. Otherwise, it's overwhelming. If you come to the place and it's like 400 people. Yeah, 500 people, it's overwhelming.
Okay. Schrijf. Geheim. Oh, so that's what heat feels like. Very good. Those are my senses out there. So I'll tell you something, Lamaisa. Lamaisa, I just came back from carpool. See Chitzak, Baruch Hashem. And Sundays, once in a while, we have a carpool. Once in a while, it's our family's turn. And I'll tell you, it used to be that on if a Sunday we had a carpool, I don't know if I could drive, have a shear, 9:15, sometimes I don't get back on time, like today, a minute or two late maybe, then another minute. And because I'd be nervous, not just, about being a few minutes late, it's about, what are they going to think about me? How could I be late to a shear? So because
Just starting.
Therefore, what would happen, it would push back earlier, and I might say to my wife, I think you should drive. Now, Sunday morning, we like to let, in our house, I'm not saying in our house, we like to let mommy sleep a little bit later. But I'll tell her, I have a shiur to give, teach Torah, it's important. Maybe you'll do the carpool. Now, she's very nice and she'd be willing to do it, but the way it's always been is I'm the carpool guy. So to change that, it's like, hemming and hawing. And I'm like, in the past means many, many months ago. This is not I'm just thinking about this now as I came in a few minutes late. Then it would be like, you can't do one carpool. You can't do one carpool. I have to teach. Now with Bitachon, what happens? Bitachon calms, as we've discussed. I'm just giving as many examples as we can in life. Bitachon calms the system down. So you get there a few minutes late, so what? You really think people are going to think bad about you? And if they do, so what? Remember, it's between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what? So then when you're able to come to the calmness, right? Bitachon equals calm. When you're able to come to that calmness, that even if you are a few minutes late, so what? So then I could do the carpool. And I could let her sleep. And I could even take an extra minute if I need to just settle in for a minute and not have to feel that rush. Because what's going to be if I come a minute late? Then what are they going to think about me? Then what's going to be? Then I'm going to lose my job. You can mamish go crazy. Just point being is that Bitachon has changed my own personal life. That's something that I went through a long time ago. I'm just remembering it now as I'm coming in and what could have been. Okay. With that, let's start.
No.
Yeah.
Would it change if you were an hourly paid employee and therefore you're coming late, so you're taking away, let's say, from an employer?
Well, the employer just wouldn't pay you. Meaning
Well,
what?
let's say you're.
So you're salaried,
You have a
not,
your
not
salary.
hourly.
Your salary. Again, I'm not trying
Is-
to be difficult.
No. These are important. It's important. The end.
I had faith that
Before
you
I
would fire me. I had faith that
You have to explain to me, and you have to really think about it. What? So we'll say there's a stress coming. I have to get to work on time, right? That's.
No. I'm not asking that. I'm saying I'm
You're
asking.
talking Geneva Shilas?
Yes.
Oh. What's it? So they're for what?
If you're supposed to be a.
Should you ask your wife to do? What's your question?
No. Then if you're going to be late.
I don't want to do Geneva Shilas here. If you're talking about emotional and
No,
rushing,
no.
so then okay. You have to ask the postman for that one. Okay, so we were on page 211. I think we got to the end of the page, mamish, and we were talking about the fourth difference in terms of in the world of bitachon and how we react, how we live our lives, and we were talking about using our money for mitzvahs, being open-hearted. I don't want to chazer over the same points again, even though it would be important to, but they all are recorded, and we should chazer. We've been doing this share for a long time. And every share has been building on another share. We have the chazdei lev, the chazdei moach. Right? Most people are chazdei moach. They do chesed because they know they're obligated to do it, and therefore they do it. Whether it's from family, from a Kadosh Baruch, they feel an obligation. Chazdei lev is where a person, the chesed of the words, he's a bal chesed. It's inside of his heart. Bal is always bal's gematria muna. Beis ayin lamed. It's 102, which is gematria muna. So when you're a bal chesed, when you're a bal midos, it doesn't just mean you do acts of chesed. You have etiquette. It's something that's much deeper. You believe in it. You're connected to it. You're open-hearted. And then memela, from that open heart, your hands open up. Chazdei moach, the chazdei lev, you open up. And when a person has bitachon, his heart is opened up, because bitachon is something that attaches itself. It's the key to opening the person's heart. A person's heart might be closed. He's tight. He's worried, he's nervous, he's stressed. I have so many obligations of my own monetarily, so therefore my heart is closed to giving out to other people. I'm not a mean person, I have to take care of myself. And we're not saying each person's situation is different, but a person has to have a cheshbon in his own life. And when a person has bitachon and it calms down the situation and he sees his monetary state in a different way, he sees it in connection to a Kadosh Baruch who gives it to him. Kadosh Baruch is the Mishalech. We're the Shaluchim. We're the messengers. And we start to see ourselves and our lives and everything we've been speaking about in a different way. We can breathe. Our heart can open up, and not only can we become the Baalei Chesed in our heart that we have the potential to become, we might actually also be able to give Lamaisa more. We might be able to spend a little bit more in mitzvahs. A person, has to buy, an esrog. He has to buy Shabbos food. So he might buy like one tier down or two tiers down because of his monetary issues. Again, we're not speaking about dollars and cents here. It's about the perspective and how you go into the mitzvah. If I have the money, a mitzvah is something that I should want to spend it on, and I should be able to. Bitachon allows us to have that ability. So we said last time, let's just read. I want to just make another point. Sorry for my voice, but on 211, the bottom paragraph in the English. Let's just read the English again. We're going to just review one point that we had from last week. And then we're going to just say another point, and then we'll move on. So conversely, a person who does not rely on God, he does not have this bitachon, and there's many madregas, of course. So the one who does not rely on God, to some madrega, does not view the entire world and all that is in it as enough for his livelihood and to satisfy his needs. If a person is worried, we discussed last week, if a person is stressed, no money in the world can ultimately, fully fill that up. Money can never fully fill stress. Two different worlds. Money is stuff. It's gashmis. Stress, worry is in the heart. It's emotions. It can cover it over for a little bit, right? It can make a facade, a mirage, but it's not real. So eventually the money will dry up, or the feelings of what the money did for me will dry up. Another worry will come, and then you'll start to see the entire facade break down. Also, we discussed last week a point that a person with bitachon has to be worked out, but a person with bitachon, right, he can use his bitachon to control his taivas to some degree. It can be used. A person who doesn't have bitachon, and he always just wants more and more, never satisfied, so then the whole world, all the money is never going to satisfy his needs. If he has 100, he's going to want 200. If he has 200, he's going to want 400. He wants more pleasure, more luxury. There's many ways to work on the Indian of taivas. Most people don't think about bitachon as one of the ways, but it can be. And a person who's been working on the Indian of bitachon might have seen in his own life that he doesn't desire the big stuff as much as he once did. When you work on bitachon, truly connecting to Kadosh Baruch Hu, believing in him and all the 7 conditions that we've discussed in the past, that he runs everything in the world, he's created the world, he's the one who runs the world, he's the one who knows me better than myself, and he loves me and he'll take care of me. Even when I do things that are wrong, he'll still take care of me if I trust in him. I have to give my heart over to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. The whole system starts to change. The heart starts to be a different heart. You start to lose the deep connection you have to the Gashmius world, and you start to connect to the world of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. The more one, in general, in Avodas Hashem, connects to the Borei Olam, the Manheg Olam, the more we do that, just automatically, you start to get lifted up a little bit. You start to become disconnected to the Gashmius a little bit. Simple as that. It's just simple as that. It just slowly happens. If you do it with proper thought, it can happen even faster. But I'm saying a person who's working on bitachon, just in general, this will happen automatically in the Mela. Whenever we focus on our bitachon, we take the big spotlight called bitachon and we put it into our family, it'll help our family even more. You deal in the money, it'll help the money more. And if you put it into the world of taivas, it will help it even more. Then he says, this person who's not the Baal Bitachon is concerned about his money and therefore does not use it to fulfill his obligations towards the Creator and towards other people. If a person is nervous about his own bank account, then it's going to be hard for him to even do the obligations that he has. Certainly, his rots and his willfulness, the chazdei leiv, will be totally out the door. He won't be able to. Even his chazdei moach, as we've coined it, will be difficult for him. This is just what happens when a person doesn't have bitachon. He does not, and this person also, he does not realize that he's losing his money until he loses all of it and he's left without it. So we ended off last week and I said, how could that be? This guy who just cares about money, how does he not realize he's losing his money? So B'Ram Benish said, remember last week, he said, this person doesn't realize what he has. A non-Baal Bitachon, it's difficult for him to even realize the good that he has. Slowly it slips away without him even, he only starts to realize. He only starts to realize what he once had, when he's already lost it. Right? When you lose the money, like, oh my, I once had that. I once had that. Why are we waiting until we once had it to appreciate? You're not even appreciating, you're depreciating it. Joke. Why don't we appreciate it when we have it? The Baal Bitachon appreciates every cent, every dollar. Yaakov Avinu. It's the Indian of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu, the one who dealt with the money. Versus Esav, Yeshli Kol, Yeshli Rav. Hakar Satov, Yaakov Avinu appreciated every dollar he made because it wasn't about him. Remember, Amelis, Hishtadlis doesn't equal dollars and cents. Officially, it does not equal dollars and cents. Officially, Hishtadlis means, you know what Hishtadlis means? Hishtadlis. Hishtadlis means Avodas Hashem. Kadosh Baruch Hu decides what a person gets. And therefore, Tzadikim, Yaakov Avinu, with the Pach Shemen that he went back for, the Pachim Ketanim, sorry, I'm already in like Hanukkah mode. The Pachim Ketanim, the Ibn Ezra says it was the Pach Shemen.
So cool.
He says those Pachim Ketanim was the Pach Shemen that they eventually went down, whatever exactly that means, got to Hanukkah. Moshe Rabbeinu was an Ina Veschanan. He came to Kadosh Baruch Hu supplicating, even though I don't want to get actually cross that off right now. I'll go upon him. Tzaddikim appreciate the value of a dollar, not because of their hard work necessarily, because they received it as a matana from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So every dollar was given, every dollar they received, was a matana from HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So then over here where it says until he loses all of it, right? The last line. It's not. Is it necessarily all of it? Because someone who's not holding, every time they lose something, they're gonna.
I mean, if you read the Hebrew, ve'inenu margish bo ad sheyovad mimenu
Right. It
mamono.
doesn't say cool off.
No, v'yishar zula so. That's the kulam.
Right.
Right. There's two levels. He starts to feel it when he's losing it,
Right.
and then
Obviously, when he doesn't have
Yeah.
anything, but I'm saying even already.
that's when he starts to feel
He
it.
holds on to everything, then he realizes everything.
Yeah, exactly. When he starts to lose it, that's when he starts to realize. He didn't realize when he had the money. He only realized when it starts to get taken out of his bank account. So that was the point you mentioned last week. I just want to make another point. I don't think I got to work through it properly enough, but I'll say it anyway. What bitachon does for us is it helps us control our emotional state. It's a big thing. Bitachon helps us control our emotional state. We have a lot of emotions. And when we are not in control of our emotions, we're still emotional. Right? Make a point. I might not be in control of my emotions, and I could still become emotional. Angry, happy. What's controlling it then? If it's not me, what is it? It's something outside of me. It's the event. It's somebody else that said something. Someone says something mean, I get angry. Am I in control or am I not in control? I'm not in control. Sir, do you want to be angry right now? I don't want to be angry. Well, then why are you angry? Because he said something to me. Well, he said something to you. Why'd you have to get angry? He pushed a button on you called anger. That's what people think. No one touches. This person didn't touch me. He didn't come over and touch me and say anger. He said words. I was makabel the words. I believed the words. It hit my kina, my taiva, my kavod, my gaiva. Then I got angry. Words don't equal anger. Yes or no? Words came into my system. They touched me in a way that I did not like. It touched my self-confidence. It touched my vision of myself, my image, especially with other people watching. And now my defense mode, which I'm turning on, is anger. Now, most of us are not in control of that defense mode. So when things come into the system, we've discussed this many times, either I get angry, I get stressed, I get nervous. But if you ask the person, would you like to be stressed? Is it a good thing to be stressed? Is it a good thing to be angry? Is it a good thing to be impatient, mad, depressed, sad? Unless it's halakhically sad, Velas, that's different, not for now. Is it a good thing? Do you want that? No, I don't want it. So then why are you getting like that? I don't know, I can't control myself. So who's controlling us? Everything outside of us. So we're slaves emotionally to the world, to other people, to the weather. Some people woke up this morning, they were upset. Yeah, I can't, it's too cold, I can't deal with this. Well, you're going to have to. So either do it with a smile or just ruin your day. It's your choice. Or is it our choice? So very often we don't have choices because we haven't worked on the control valve, which is the need of bechira, which bechira is a big sugya, and bechira is given to us, but you don't just get it. You need to work on it. You need das, you need bitachon. Remember das, dalad ayin. We said this once. Ayin dalad is 74, bitachon 75. They're hand in hand. Das and bitachon. They're buddies. When you have das, you have bitachon. You know what's going on. You can control. So this person said words to me. So what? I'm running late to a shiur. Not that I want to be late. Not that I tried to be late. So what? It happens. So I should be embarrassed. I'm going to get upset. And then I'm going to be all for plunger. And then I'm not going to be able to speak out the shiur because my head's thinking about what they're thinking about me. And I'm not going to get the words out. We only live half our lives because if we let other people control us, we're not ourselves. Now, why am I giving this all a demo? Something that we've discussed before. It's stock important. When it comes to the world of money, it happens a lot also. If a person is stressed out about money, he could have $10 million in the bank and be stressed, and he could have no money in the bank and be stressed. Doesn't matter how much money a person has. if he's stressed, if he's worried, if he's anxious, if he's nervous about the future, he's nervous about the now, whatever it is, he's being controlled by the outside. He's not in control, and he's going to make mistakes. Because what's going to happen? I have to make some money. I have to do something. So what I wanted to discuss for a minute is the world of investments. Investments, whatever that means. I'm being general. I don't know anything about investments. I don't. But I know something about the emotions of investments, the emotions of people. And if a person's emotional, he makes mistakes. All right? Try playing this. If a guy's playing a stock, let's say there's a person who plays the stock market, whatever that means. He's active. And he's stressed. He's angry. He just got a huge bill that now he's super nervous. It's due in a month. Will that alter his ability? Generally, yes. Unless he's become a professional, he can control his emotions. If his heart starts to pump hard, it's going to start feeding his brain. He's going to start making mistakes. I got to make the money right now. You have a system. You've worked on a system for 10 years. And that system says you need 3 months to make this. In general, it will take 3 months for this person to make this amount of money he needs. But he's super stressed right now. I got to get it right now. So now he's going to turn 3 months into 1 month. The whole system's out the window. He's going to make tons of mistakes. It could be that he'll make the money. It could be. But it could be he won't. And also he's going to be stressed the whole time. So I've spoken to people. I'm just telling you what I've spoken to people. When they're making investments and they're coming in from not a place of bitachon, not only do they make mistakes when they're making the investments, but the whole time the investment is, if it's up, okay, good. And when it's down, oh my gosh, what's going to be with my life? Because they put a lot into it. Because they put it into it because they were nervous. So now their money, which they didn't really want to put into this, it was only put in because they were nervous. It means something else is controlling them. Now they put into this investment, and now they're not in control of what happens up and down. They start to lose themselves. And then, if it really goes sour, ice match. So if a person, it's just an Eitzah Tova, investment advice. If a person's going to invest, and you want to do it from the world, if a person wants to be calm, we all know, or we should know, any money you put into it, there's no sure bet. You people know better than I know. There's no sure bet. And just parenthetically, if someone's promising you a certain amount, you could ask the professionals, it's not true. I think the younger people are getting caught with that more than the seasoned veterans. But the younger generation who are coming into the world, they need a lot of money quick, and they have no bitachon, and they have not seen the ups and downs of life. They're making horrible decisions. Devastating decisions. Jumping into things that people are promising them, high returns, sheker v'chazev, and people are losing all their money. Bad. Families being destroyed. Mamash.
But that's from Hashem.
But you didn't do your status. God did this.
That's the fine line.
You need to be woke. You need to wake up into your status. And your person needs to have the proper bitachon, because if a person has bitachon, it calms you down. It might be difficult, but again, it keeps the status quo. If the heart is still beating the proper way, you still have your das, then you can make proper decisions. And you might actually ask for help instead of doing something silly. But we do it as well. We all do it in our ways. I think everyone understands. Each person has their own situations and how they got motivated into the thing. And then, if you go with bitachon, you have a better chance to make money. Bitachon doesn't mean making more money. Bitachon means you're doing the Ratzon Hashem and you can stay calm throughout. The person who went into the investment with bitachon means he believes he had a conversation with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Listen, I know that you run the world. I know that you want the best of me. I know you love me. I know everything is decided by you. And I know that if you want, and I know that I have this money, and according to my calculations, I should invest it maybe for the needs of my kids, or maybe I need it now. Whatever the conversation is. And I think this is the move I should make. But I know and I believe that if I put this money in, You still are the one who makes it go up and down. And if it goes up, I'm already thanking you, and I'll thank you then. And maybe I'll make a kiddush. And if it goes down, I trust you that this is what you wanted. I thought this was the right move. And I am stating that I will be as strong as I can be and calm, even if you make it lose. I know that you control this, and I know it's for my best.
Is that the top level? Because Kashem Shem Malachim?
We're having-
also make a kiddush.
I'm talking about before. I'm talking about before.
That's what I'm saying. It's a level before.
We're talking about before you make the investment, right? Someone who has real bitachon, focus it into the world of investments as well. Make an investment bitachon. Now, don't make the mistake of thinking that bitachon equals investment going up. Oh, Kadosh Baruch Hu, if I dive into you for like 1,000 hours and I work on my bitachon, then I'm guaranteed to make the money, right? Kadosh Baruch Hu, yes? So I can put my money into anything. I can put it into the worst stock, but I bitachon, Kadosh Baruch Hu, you could do anything. You could do nisim, right? So what does it matter? I can close my eyes. I can just throw money wherever I want, and you're going to make it go because I bitachon. Not in our bitachon. I'm not talking about anybody else, as you know. Anybody can do whatever they want to do. I don't know. But in this chabura, that's not how bitachon works. Never will be that way. What it does is that it keeps you level-headed, doing this with a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and you set yourself properly beforehand so that whatever the outcome is, what bitachon does is it doesn't matter. And for the begin, I could set in the beginning I'm going to do cruise control. We're going to put my emotional state in cruise control. That's what bitachon does, yes? So I'm going to set a Kadosh Baruch Hu. I'm calm now. I have this money. I worked it out with you, with myself, with my wife, with the professionals. I know this is the right move to make. I'm going to put it in. But I'm pushing cruise on calm. Because I know that whatever happens to this money, up, down, my emotional state, equanimity, hishtavus, is already set. Because you're the one who runs it, and you're doing it for my best. I trust you. Does this not make sense? A person can lose money. He can lose a lot of money. But if you did it properly, then you set from the beginning. Not that I want to lose money, chas v'shalom, but if it happens, I believe it's for the best. If you can't do that at the beginning, set your emotional state into cruise control, even what the ending will be. And you want to be a Baal Bitachon, don't invest. Again, we're talking to the Baal Bitachon. I'm not talking to anybody else. If a person wants to be Baal Bitachon, I want to stay calm, and I want to trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, then you have to know the ends before you start. Otherwise, you're entering into a dangerous world, and don't blame a Kadosh Baruch Hu afterwards. Kadosh Baruch Hu, what do you mean? But I finished a Seder Mishnayos before I started. I thought that was going to buy your... That was going to buy your Ratzon. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm sorry. Many tzaddikim came before you, and they learned a lot more, and they didn't buy my Ratzon either. You can't buy Hashem's Ratzon. You could buy into it. Ooh, that was a good one, no? That came down, thank you. You can't buy, you can buy into it. You buy into bitachon, you're good. You could lose $1 million and still be calm. But if you don't think that if you could lose that money and stay calm, then maybe don't do it. At least at level bitachon, don't do it. That's my best advice. Okay. Let's move on. Page 212. Okay, let's read from the top. The person who has bitachon, I will add, is happy to spend his extra money on mitzvahs, while the person without bitachon is miserly and miserable. Like that? Miserly and miserable. They're very close. Because he feels that he never has enough. I can't spend on people. I can't open my heart. I can't even do my obligations. I need it. We might think that the person who's miserly would have more money. Yet we often see that he ends up losing it all. It's not a guaranteed. It's not success. You just hold on to your money. The author now cites a verse, a pasuk, just to finish this off as a source for this concept. Kamosh Amar Chacham, says Shlomo Melech, Yesh mefazer v'nosav od v'choseich miyosher ach lamachzer. Yeah. And it says the wise man King Solomon, Shlomo Melech, said, there is one who gives freely and yet increases his money. and one who withholds from giving what is proper, only to end with a loss. Sorry. No, that's interesting. Now, the word chosech, I was thinking about. We see that word, we saw that word, I think it was in this week's Parsha, but I remember it clearly, the chosech, velo chasachta. Anybody? Who's Baal Kriya? Oh, velo chasachta is ben chaychitra. Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Avram Avinu right by the Kedem, when Kadosh Baruch Hu says, don't kill him. I see your Yarei Elokim, and we're here today because of that. Maisa, Kadosh velo chasachta is ben chaychitra. You didn't hold back from me. You are even your son. You were ready to give everything to me. So you see, sometimes when there's a way to hold back, or you have to know what to hold back and what not to hold back. This person is v'chosech, he's trying to hold back, and yet he's losing, where Avram Avinu was ready to not hold back his greatest asset, his son, and forever we're benefiting from that act. Okay. The person who spends money on mitzvahs is given more. I don't want to say it's not vadai given more. The person who spends money on mitzvahs sometimes can be given more, while the one who withholds his money can end up losing. I don't like the strong statements, because it's not guaranteed. Bitachon is not, if you have bitachon, you make. If you don't have bitachon, you don't make. You people who make and don't make, and they don't even know what bitachon is. But it's about the emotional state. Anything can happen, but we trust the Kadosh Baruch Hu that it's okay, and it's good. Okay.
So should you plug in can to the beginning statement also?
Which one?
Because you didn't do that. You said the person who spends money on mitzvahs can be given more money.
Well, he said sometimes.
Yeah.
He said something.
You threw in something? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this is an amazing sefer. I don't want to take anything away. This what Gahas did, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But sometimes just the way that we've been learning it, just change the words a little bit, because in my understanding, it is important in our way of learning. There's many people, there's big tzaddikim, big people who wrote the way they translate it, and that's amazing, that's great. But in our way, sometimes these little words make a big difference. Because people all the time can make this mistake. A person who spends money on mitzvahs is given more. It's a hard. You could have many, it could be 90% of people, but if you're the guy who doesn't feel that way, or you are given more, but you don't realize that for whatever reason, so then you're like, oh, this is not true. And then you throw it out. So you have to get it clear. Nuance, thank you. Okay. V'achamishi. We've been working on the spheres. The last sphere we just worked on was chesed, clearly. So let's work on a little gevura. V'achamishi kibotech belokim hu misasik b'sibos ha'olam l'hachan me'am tzeda l'achriso v'sipuk l'beis mo'ad. U'mashi yizbar lo bo hatzolos teroso v'lo misasik bo. U'mashi yebo shum hefsid b'teroso mevi l'hamros ha'borei einenu misasik bo. Shal yovi l'atzim madvet ha'ches ha'arucha. The fifth difference, a person who relies on God involves himself in the world in the various worldly means of making a livelihood, so that he will be able to prepare provisions for the end of his days and for his ultimate resting place in the world to come. Therefore, he engages only in those means of livelihood that will clearly allow him to preserve his Torah learning and his world to come. He will not engage in any means that will cause loss of Torah learning, or that will lead to rebellion against his Creator, so that he does not bring upon himself spiritual illness instead of healing. Okay, I have a desire just to finish off. Let's just keep reading. Since the person's sole intention when engaging in his livelihood is that this is what God wants him to do, it is inconceivable that he will engage in a means that will somehow compromise his mitzvah observance and Torah learning. This attitude is in stark contrast to the person who lacks bitachon. Mishe eino boteach belukim boteach ala sibus v'sanuch dait v'aleim v'lo yirchak midover mehen v'isasek meshubach uvamaguna mehen. Conversely, a person who does not rely on God relies on the means in which he engages for his livelihood and rests his mind upon them. He relies on the money, relies on the job. Therefore, he will not distance himself from any of those means, engaging in both praiseworthy and inappropriate means. He will hold on to that. It means more to him than Torah and mitzvahs. Since he places his trust in the means themselves, he engages in both permitted, and it could be sometimes, and forbidden means in the pursuit of livelihood. Because his livelihood is livelihood, which translates as money, parnasa. It means he feels it's his livelihood. It's right. It's funny that money became livelihood. Live. Money doesn't mean life. I think breathing and eating and drinking are more livelihood than money is. Is that funny? Think about that. We take it as a tougher pasha. Livelihood. Oh, it means making money. Who made that up? Livelihood? Chius? I don't know. The word chius never is translated as money. Not in our books. Chius is...
Right, how do you make a living? By breathing.
Well, you're alive.
Because if you don't breathe,
But it's funny, right? The world has taken livelihood. To be alive is money. That's already, you see how the world made the Iker, there's Iker and Tafel. The world made the Iker money. Money, pleasures, luxuries.
But that's because breathing and eating and drinking is assumed. I mean, it's a given. So now that I'm not talking about our world, I'm talking about outside.
We don't need to defend them.
I'm not.
The point is that it's a funny thing, because that's not... Just hear the horror. It's an interesting thing. Livelihood means money. And in our world, and he wasn't saying this, but in our world, we also don't appreciate so much our breathing and our drinking and eating, because although we do it all the time, we're not connecting to the source of necessarily the breathing and the food, which is the real geschmack. Because if you just take it for granted, you miss out, right? If you don't feel it as a matana, then you miss out. Yaakov Avinu felt in $1 more than some rich guy in $1 million. Because the rich guy with $1 million took it for granted. It was coming to me. I deserve it. I worked hard. It makes sense. So it takes that guy $5 million to feel something. Whereby a person who feels humbled by Kadosh Baruch Hu, he feels everything as a matana. Even $1 could give him a feeling of ecstasy. It's possible. Some of us might take a little more than $1, but you can mamish bring it back. You can bring it back to one concentrated, focused breath. We take it for granted, breathing. Yet, the Chazal tells us very importantly, Kol neshama tahalka, so David HaMelech, all neshamas praise Hashem, says Gemara Brachas, Kol neshima v'neshima tahalka. Every breath you take, you're praising the Kadosh Baruch Hu, because it ain't pashut. But we take it as pashut because, well, I breathed yesterday 1,000,000 billion times, I've been breathing my whole life. So it's pashut. That doesn't help you get the geschmack of breathing. Read all over Victor Miller, right? He stuck his head in the water, so he couldn't breathe for a long time. So then his Greg was pulling, Zayd, he said, what are you doing? And then he would take his head out of the water, and he'd breathe. He stuck his head in the sink. So his grandkid's like, Zayd, what are you doing? Why are you drowning yourself? So Victor Miller says, I wasn't appreciating breathing enough. So I wanted to appreciate it. So I took it away from myself. Not that I'm telling anybody to do that. But to appreciate something is, right? When we say the word appreciate, everybody's like, money? What? Jewelry? It's appreciating? Real estate? That's where your head goes. The world of appreciation, Hakar Satov, is much, much deeper. Appreciate, depreciate. We go right to the money sugyas. But we also, internally, we appreciate and we depreciate. And most in life, we're depreciating. That's why people are depressed. A lot of D's. That's what it is. That's what it is. Appreciate, it sounds like up. Appreciate. Up. I know it's not spelled U. I can still spell. It's actually spelled app. It's an, app. Appreciate. Oh, the kids are like, oh, that's an app? Oh, there's a new app. What is that? That's on the phone? No. Appreciate, not app. It's an app called Reshiate. Anyway, sorry.
You're really into it today, aren't you?
What is that?
You're really into it today, aren't you?
I came late, so like everything's like thrown off, Well, what do you guys put in this coffee? Let's just finish off these few lines. Since he places his trust in the means themselves, he engages in both permitted and forbidden means in the pursuit of livelihood. He does not think about the end of his days. Like we just, as a contrast before, the person who's about Habitachon is always thinking about the end of his days and preparing properly for that, and money doesn't go with the person. This person, he does not think about the end of his days as the wise man again. Shlomo Melech said about them, a wise man fears and turns away from evil. And the verse continues, that the fool passes vigorously and slips. The verse contrasts the wise person who is cautious and avoids evil because of his fear of God, while the fool who is overconfident and therefore slips. So we have here, they so called it career choice. The person who relies on a Kadosh Baruch Hu, truly with bitachon, his avodas hagashmius, his ishtadlus, will not actively, with his choice, take away from his Torah learning and his mitzvahs. There are certain times a person's working and the boss says, I need you in there for an extra 2 hours, and you had a shear, and for whatever reason, you had to stay for the 2 hours, you could still be a Baal Bitachon. Let's not lose ourselves here. We're talking about the general Baal Bitachon. The point that I want to make is like this. And it's like he's sewed. I hope let's see how I can get this out clearly. I didn't have that much time to work on this. So I want to talk about thinking for a second. Thinking. Now, we think all the time, but let's think about thinking for a minute. Okay? It could be we'll start it now. We might have to continue next week. I don't know. We go through life.
The phrase "it started now, we might have to continue next week."
I just want to hear what he has to
That's
say.
the weirdest thing.
I want to hear what he has to say.
You
It's a message from God.
You said something. It
What'd he say?
popped up my phone. And
What did he say?
I don't know. I shut that.
Oh my gosh. Rebbeinu was talking to us through Google and AI.
Gemini.
That Gemini is the, what's it, Tu'umim. That's, I'm in Sivan. Sivan is Gemini. Isn't Gemini the
No,
Gemini's the twins, yeah?
yes.
Yeah, I think that's for Sivan. See? Dove.
I don't even.
There's
know what
always
you're talking
something.
about. I'm not paying attention.
By the way, Sivan's my birthday, so if anybody wants to, get presents, I'm just saying. So, when we think in life, we go through life, and we take in... I did have a bar mitzvah yesterday. So it could be that there's the extra simcha still going.
Oh, not the last.
He's not off. He's on.
That might still be. So anyway, let's get back to this. Let's be serious. Let's be serious.
It's too late.
It's never too late. So we go through life and we take in life in just everything. As we grow up physically, as we go into school, and we go into education, we go into families, and when the information comes in, we learn, automatically we learn. And certain things in life become kavua, set. You don't even think about it again. It's just that's you automatically understand it. You wake up, you breathe. You don't think about breathing, right? You just breathe. There are other things, of course, in life that they're variables, and you have to think about because it's something new, it's something fresh. Pasha, yes? Let me give you an example. You have a person, he wakes up in the morning. Okay? One of us. It's a davar pasha that you have to go to shul. You have to daven. It's davar pasha. That's not something I think. It's not like I wake up in the morning, do I believe in a Kadosh Baruch Hu this morning? I don't know. Well, if I do believe in him, then I'll go to shul. If I don't believe in him, I don't think I'm going to go to shul. We wake up, we're maminim b'nei maminim. Check. You don't think about that anymore. Do I have to go to shul? I have to go to shul. Check. But today, it's freezing cold. Today, I'm not feeling so well. Today, something's happening. So, do I go back to, do I believe in God? Do I have to go to shul? I don't go back to those things. That's already done. I'm dealing with the situation at hand. And whatever variables come in, and whatever calculations come in at that point. I don't go back steps. Right? That's just not how we work. We wouldn't be able to move 1 inch. Can I take a step forward? Well, let me say, do I have legs? Well, yesterday I had legs. Today I have legs. Do I have... We don't do that. We just move on in life. What would happen? You have we'll say a high school boy. High school boy. And he wakes up in the morning and he's tired. He wakes up and he's like groggy. So what happens to this kid now? What he thinks? Now, his parents aren't there right now. Whatever. Now he knows he has to go to shul. But the tiredness might overcome more often and more powerfully might overcome his belief that he has to go to shul. Yes? Versus a person who's been doing it for a long time and it's set in his ways. So he wakes up, he's tired, you still got to go. You still got to go. So we have more of it. So even if it's cold, even if we're a little bit in pain, I've been doing this for a long time. It's set in my ways. I don't think about it so much. Yeah, it hurts a little bit. I'm going to go. I'm going to do it. But when you have a younger person who's closer to his, going to shul, let's say he's 14. So his obligation to go to shul has only been for a year. And his parents, push him to go to shul. They try to get him to go. And of course, he goes most of the time. But it's not set by him yet. Now, you can help him get set. You have to just keep doing it again and again. Give him time to develop, which is important. You could start threatening him and yelling at him to give him, at this moment, a little bit more motivation to get out of bed. You can offer him money or prizes.
It works.
The money works.
The money works.
It's positive motivation is always better than the grim and the drear, whatever, the fear. But there's also another way. It's also another way. Why does a person go to shul? I'm not going to go through all the steps. Because there's Hashem, there's a creator of the world, and he wants you to go to shul. Let's just keep it at that. Everybody believes. Yeah, there's a Boreol, and he wants you to go to shul. What would be if we went back and we would go work on that first kernel that's set in our head? This kid, he doesn't think about a Kadosh Baruch Hu. He does the mitzvahs. He knows he has to, but he's not thinking about the Kadosh Baruch Hu because it's already set in his head. I believe in a Kadosh Baruch Hu. I believe my parents. I obey him. I already believe. I don't need to think about that again. He's only in. Do I get up now or don't I get up? I'm so tired. I don't want to get up. And then you have to find some way to convince him to go, fear-based, monetary-based, or just consistency. But what would be if we went back and we started to change the way he thinks about that first piece of information that maybe was never taught so well, or maybe never really learned it so strongly. Yeah, I believe in God. Okay, great. Yeah, Hashem spoke to Avram Avinu. So therefore I believe in him. Hashem gave the Torah to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai, and we have the Torah now. Kid says, yeah, of course I believe in that. But he's not so connected to that, right? He believes it. He's a mammon. Is he Baal B'tochen? Not Baal B'tochen. Not Baal B'tochen. He's a mammon. He's a mammon. It's in his head. And now he knows in his head he has to go to shul. And now he wakes up and he's really tired. And he's like, I don't feel like getting up. So now you have big machlokas. The emunah in the head. And the feelings of I don't want to in my heart. Hashem wants me to in my head. I don't want to in my heart. 9 out of 10 times, if that's all you got, and there's no extra motivation, your heart's going to win. Your heart's closer to who you are. Your head's like out there. Yeah, I believe it, but whatever. Come up with some kind of one rationalization, you're good to go. My heart, I don't want to go. I'm going to stay. I'll daven later or something. Whatever. Hashem still loves me. You could use a lot of rationalizations. But if we can go back to that original kernel and strengthen it, not just strengthen tefillah, right? We could also go back to tefillah and say, no, davening is so important. It's so geschmack. And Hashem will answer your requests all the time, which is not so true, right? But let's say we should daven out loud, and we could do all this stuff, and that's true. And it could help also with the fear base and the monetary base and the consistency, all that external type of motivation. But if we can go back to the original kernel that we haven't thought about in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and be mechazik the original kernels, everything, and reset one of the highest level, deepest nakudas of our life, everything can come down, could trickle down in a stronger way, in a better way. So if we would teach this kid emunah, strong, bitachon, strong, in a proper way for this kid, strong doesn't mean a day and a week and a month. But over time, it can build him in a way that now when he wakes up and he's tired, I don't know if I should go, or when he's tired and he wakes up, you don't need to pay him, you don't need to fear him into it, and he doesn't even need necessarily the consistency. Just, Kadosh Baruch Hu wants me to go, I'm going to go. He's built in a different way. why am I bringing this all up? Is because we've been living in the world for many, many years, and we have a lot of things that are set in our mind. There's not just two things. There's hundreds and thousands of ideas, yesodos. Our whole brain, the wirings and the synapses and the networks for the brain people have been set for a very long time. We have ways of thinking. There are things we haven't thought about in 10, 20 years. Because why would I think about it again? We're so far past that. So when we come to the world of livelihood, let's say money, jobs, we are so set in our ways. We're like hundreds of levels past the original level of HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. When you go to work every morning, you're like, not saying people here. Most people, you go to work in the morning, you're not thinking, do I believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Am I going to work today because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to go to work? Am I going to work? We just go to work because we go to work. Yes, in the back of our head, HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world and he loves me. We all know that. And Mustami, he wants me to go to work. But it's not active. It's not living within the person. And it's old wirings. It's not new wirings. It's the same old stuff, which can get tweaked. So what we're doing with Bitachon, what we're doing here, is what we're trying to do is we're trying to go back to the original thoughts that maybe we never really worked on. Now it's our fault. Just that's the way it is. Doesn't matter. We're not blaming anybody. Take emotions out of this. We have to just do what we have to do. And we have to go back and rework the earliest things. Let's rethink. I'll just give you an example. I'll give you an example in my own life. And then we'll probably pause. We'll have to come back next week. But I'll give you an example about the yesod of going back. I think I was married maybe 10 years when I came over here to Eish Kodesh.
How long are you married now?
18.
Okay, I'm just curious. What are you talking
A lot
about?
of gray.
Last year,
A lot of
I
gray.
don't know.
So at one point, Rav Weinberger asked me to start giving chassan classes. And I took that as a motivation at that point to, usually chassan classes is you teach the halachas of a chassan. I took that, did I teach anybody's kids? No. I took that as a moment to rework the sugya of marriage. Not just halachas. What is a marriage? What is it? Why was I going to rework it? After being in, we'll call it Rebbe's system, well, Chassidus, but the grander Rebbe system that has Rav Kook and, Breslov, all the different stuff that I was introduced to, and a new understanding, that whole new understanding of Avodas Hashem, I said, one second, maybe let's go back to something that I never really worked on, and let's see how I can understand it or just work on it for the first time. It blew my mind. I went back to something that I never really thought about in the first place. I just went into it like everybody else does in the world. There's so many things that we do in this world, we never even thought about it. We just do it because everybody else is doing it. We have no idea why we're doing it. I asked the chassanim, first question, why do you want to get married? Why'd you even start dating? Why? Well, the Torah says, Puravu, there's a mitzvah. Some of them go from, Puravu. I have to. I'm not going to go into all the different answers. But some of them never thought about it. Of course you should. But why are you doing it right now? What does it mean to be a chassan? What does it mean to be a kala? And when I went back with some new understandings, and I went back in time and worked on an old sugya, we gave it some life, it changed everything. Then I went back into the now, and my own life changed. My own life changed. That's what I'm trying to say. Not just I was able to explain to people what it is. Now I finally things that were going on that were big mistakes. Like, why did that happen? Now I get it. I just had totally no understanding of what this thing was, and I was making tons of mistakes because I was using old information or, for example, you can't take, I was a sports guy, okay? Football, all the sports. You can't take that world, which you can use the world of sports as mishalim for learning and davening and chizik, achdus. You could use sports for a lot of mishalim and avodas Hashem. But it's going to be harder to bring that into your marriage. Like, for example, your wife is she's not feeling so. No, you could do it. You start like pumping her up and like 1, 2, 3, go. You can't. That's not. No. That's different. It's different. You have to work on compassion. See, when you're playing sports, compassion is not really the midah you're really working on. You're working more on gevura. When it comes to the bias, you have to change the midas you work on. But you don't know that if you don't go back to the beginning of the sugya. So when it comes to bitachon, when it comes to our monetary inyanim, we also have to, what we're learning now in bitachon, for long we're getting some new information, we have to go back and plug back into the original, we have to bring it back to the original kernels and try to rework what we thought we once knew, or maybe we didn't know. Maybe most of us probably, why do kids go to work, go to college, make a parnasa? I just have to make as much money as I possibly can. Really? That's what you have, that's your life? So it's already late. Mitzvah Hashem, next week we have to chaz this over, connected to Hanukkah, of course. Chabra's gonna be around next week. All right, so I think we should do it. I don't see why not. I think I should be here. Yeah. So Hashem, we'll chaz this over with Hanukkah, Shaar Habitachon, and then we'll move weiter.
Nice.
Oh wow, it's really late. Yeah. Sorry.